All right, good evening. We're going to begin this regular meeting of the Rutherford Board of Education at 7:30 on September 11, 2023. Before we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, I want to acknowledge the anniversary of the September 11th attacks of 2001 and take a moment to remember and reflect on the event's significance and impact. September 11th was a day filled with shock and horror, and it was also overflowing with strength, resilience, and heroism from so many. We saw inspirational acts of humanity where people came together to support one another in unimaginable ways. I'd like to invite everyone to join in a moment of silence to honor the lives of those lost on September 11th. Thank you. Now, for those who can, if you could please stand, flags behind us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask Mr. Kelly, please take roll.
Mr. Redoji? Present. Mrs. Cole?
Present.
Mr. Conti?
Present.
Mr. Healy?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Mazzone?
Here.
Dr. Racine?
Here.
Mr. Springberry?
Here.
Dr. Owati?
Here.
You have the floor.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Rutherford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted on the bulletin board outside the Borough Clerk's office, mailed to the Herald, South Bergenite, and the Record newspapers, and filed with the Borough Clerk. Hard copies of the agenda are available in the meeting room, and the agenda is posted electronically on Friday before the meeting date on the district's website at www.rutherfordschools.org. Subsequent to the meeting, a video of the meeting will be uploaded to the district's website, www.rutherfordschools.org. The video link can be found by opening the Board of Education link and clicking on Public Meetings and then Videos. Board members, in your packets, there are two sets of meeting minutes to approve. One is the regular meeting, and the other is the executive session of August 21st, 2023. Anyone have any questions or comments about those? Seeing none, I'll ask Mr. Kelly to please enter those. I want to make note that due to a conflict, Mrs. Ahmed is not able to attend this evening for a special recognition presentation, so we will move that recognition presentation to the next board meeting on October 2nd. And with that, we're very happy to welcome back for a second year, Poppy Bimson is our student representative, and I will turn it over to you.
Okay, so good evening everyone. Thank you again, and I'm so glad to be back for the 2023-2024 school year to report on the new exciting opportunities for students, teachers, and all involved in our just life. This recent Friday, the football team had their second game and second win, and the student section was lively as always and on theme. Similarly, the girls and boys soccer team had their first games, both beginning their seasons as 1-0. The volleyball, girls tennis, as well as cross country team had their first games and meet this past week as well. Entry for these games will be transferred into high school as our first fall pep rally is September 15th. This is the kickoff for the new school year and the excitement for the fall and homecoming dance that is going to be on September 29th, followed by the parade and football game, which is on September 30th, which I encourage every year for 2 years to go out and support the students. The new fall play for our GS theater students was released and is Little Woman. This is giving an exciting chance for all drama-inspired students and anyone interested to be a part of. And the final part I'd like to include is that our picnic tables that I reported from last year have been ordered and are arriving soon for our GS students this fall. And I thought I'd update you guys because I told you at the beginning of the year. So clearly, at the beginning of the fall, there's not much because school just started, but that's all happened tonight. I look forward to a great year.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bimson, really appreciate it. Questions or comments from board members?
If I could, Dr. Lyon reminded me of putting upcoming events, and mentioned that the board awareness, but I mentioned mostly it's athletic programs right now to get going, but homecoming, I know last year many of the board members participated in the parade and were at the game. It is September 30th, correct?
Yeah.
And the parade kicks off around noon. I'll get the exact, it was around noon, I think, right?
I think so.
So I'll send an email out to the board so you're aware of the exact time if you want to participate. And if you think you're going to participate, someone let me know and I'll let Mr. Moran know. Okay? And if you're just going to the game, it's probably a 1 or 1:30 kickoff, but I'll give you all that information.
What's the date?
September 30th.
30?
All right, thank you. So Ms. Bimson is thinking that maybe we were not tough enough on you with questions last year. She came back for a second year. So I have one question for you, which is given that the pep rally is this Friday, and I think there's a lot of competitions between grade levels
Yeah.
that happen, is there any class that you think could beat this year's seniors in the overall competition score?
I think juniors, I think we're great. Last year we felt robbed in the spring pep rally, and I just think we have a better chance, but I don't know. Don't tell any seniors except that.
Mr. Beck can edit that. You know, the real competition's in the spring, right? When you
Yeah,
get
that's
Spirit Week. When I was president, I often called it anti-Spirit Week because there was so much competition between the classes. And I'm glad there weren't a lot of social media networks to look into election fraud because it's just amazing how the seniors manage to win almost every year. I'm just putting that out there.
I know, it's not.
Well, good luck.
Other grades are happy about it.
Well, thank you as always for your thorough board reports. We're all really excited that you're back this year as the representative, as a student to the board, and look forward to all your reports to come. You can feel free to stay, or if you have things you need to do, homework and whatnot, of course, feel free. Yeah, thank you and have a good evening.
Before you go,
Yeah.
one of the things I think this, people should understand, if you're a parent of kids, understand this. The fact that we're having a pep rally on the 15th, and that'll be the weekend of the third football game, and probably 2 or 3 or 4 soccer matches, tennis matches, the marching bands at these things, the cheerleaders. Everything starts so early, right? I mean, it used to be the first game was the middle of September. Practice started on September 1st. So our students, our student athletes, the kids who are in the marching band, musicians, and the flag in front, band front, they're working, beginning of August, and getting ready. They play the first game before September football, and everybody else is playing right around the opening day of school. So it's just been a change, and again, it just shows the dedication of our students and also our coaches and advisors. Because their summer ends early.
All right, well, thank you again, and we are going to move on now to the report of the superintendent.
Well, I want to echo some of what Poppy said. It was a very good opening, excellent opening to the school year. Getting it around to the buildings on the first day and seeing, walking through the hallways, and you never would know it was the first day of school in terms of activity in the classroom, and order, and even with the very young grades. Not a lot of lost souls wandering the hallways trying to find their way, and a lot of our faculty and staff out directing those who needed some help. So it really was a very good opening. Excessively hot, but again, we're fortunate that just about every area of our buildings are air conditioned. So, I think probably everybody's very happy to be in school because it was air conditioned everywhere. It was a really good start, and I want to thank the parents and students and the faculty and the administrators for getting us off to a great start. We are we're looking at a lot of different initiatives this year. I think there's a lot of energy that's going to be brought forward throughout the year. You've heard about these before, but the very first day, our opening meeting, which in the past would be more, let's say, pep talk or a theme, a global type of theme, we focused the better part of our meeting on things like grammar instruction, vocabulary series being reintroduced, the new reading program in K-5, putting in claim evidence reasoning reports and science throughout the district, changing maybe to evaluate our honor level criteria, evaluating a new math program coming into the district, the profile of the Rutherford graduate work. I mean, that's the stuff we talked about with our faculty and staff on opening day to continue the work we started last year. And I think there's a little positive energy and vibe about just taking what we do and working together to just keep doing it well, but actually the goal is to do it better. So we're off to a good start in that regard as well. So there will be a few items I didn't want to talk about when we get to them in the agenda, but other than that, that's my report.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments? Board members? Hearing none, so we'll move on now to the report of the president. So just to be brief, congratulations, Mr. Hurley, and to all the faculty, staff, and administrators, and what seems like a wonderful opening of the school year. Every year I ask my son the first day out of school, and he gives me the one-word answer of good. This year I got good. Teachers and classes, everything's good. So that was like the most I've ever gotten from him, and so I think that's a really, really good sign. I'm not typically able to go to the faculty and staff opening meetings each year because I have a conflict at my own school, and wanted to share something I highlighted in my video, which was really just the idea that for those who knew my son when he was young, he was super quiet, kind of shy, not one to really participate. And Mr. Morano told me this great story this last spring about how my son all of a sudden is now asking Mr. Morano, how's school going? How are things? And just really bringing his whole self into the district. And you know, there comes a point when you do your best to raise your children, and then there's that moment where they have to take off on their own and they sink or swim, and you're like, you know, what's this kid really going to be like when they're on their own? And knowing that my son spent as much time or more time in his waking hours in school than at home, I give so much credit to the hard work of the faculty, staff, and administration. So super proud to be on the Board of Education, and just really proud to have my kids in the district. So, you know, congratulations again. Wanted to share that, like Mr. Hurley said, at a couple of the next board meetings, I'll start putting out different events and things that are coming up during the school year for board members to try to participate in, just to really be a presence and visible and engage with what's happening in the life of the school. Also, as things come up with those different association meetings, I'll give everyone updates about those. I did happen to see there were some interesting professional development offerings from the New Jersey School Boards Association. There is an annual Labor and Employment Summit on Thursday, September 28th. It's on Zoom from 9 to 2:30, so it's a long time to spend on Zoom, but it's broken up into about 5 different workshops, and it's really information and training on obligations and rights during negotiations. And so part of our role and responsibility is to work within the parameters of our budget to do the best to negotiate a fair contract with the different associations. And so it's an opportunity as a board member to participate in training around that. The Bergen County School Boards Association also has their annual conference, October 23rd to October 26th at the Atlantic City Convention Center. And then this was kind of interesting. This Thursday at 10 a.m. on Zoom, if you're interested in knowing what are all the different workshops that NJSBA is going to have this year on Zoom and in person, you can go to that Zoom meeting and they're going to give you a preview of everything for this coming year, which I have a conflict going, but if anyone's interested, it's probably 30 to 60 minutes. But it'll give a broad overview of all the stuff being offered this year. So if someone wanted to go to that and then turnkey it the next board meeting, that would be great. Just let me know. That's about it for my board report. Questions or comments? Mr. Daly?
Comment, the workshop in October, I believe that came out with the schedule with the high school choir was going to perform, and I don't know if Ms. Jones knows that, but I think it's the Tuesday, or is it the Thursday?
I looked a week or two ago, I didn't see it, they came out with it.
Yeah, it was,
Okay, I will let you know.
it was last on the list, so it was probably a little later during
The week.
the week.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none, and it's 7:45 PM. We're going to open the meeting to the public for any items related to our agenda this evening. Comments from the public? All right, seeing none, at 7:46, we're going to close the meeting to the public, and we're going to move on to new business, where there's action to be taken. So we'll start with personnel. Mr. Conti.
Yes, we have 24 motions tonight. Number one is to accept the retirement of Brendan Fargo, our supervisor for planning, research, and evaluation. Number two is also retirement, Shannon Hopkins, director of guidance. Number three is a resignation. Number four is to rescind a hall monitor. Number five is to approve a social studies teacher at the high school. Number six is to approve a leave replacement elementary teacher at Pierpont, and then for Washington School. Number seven is to approve a long-term substitute elementary teacher in the kindergarten center. 8 is to approve a transfer. 9 is to approve a custodian at the high school. 10 is to rescind a part-time teacher assistant, and 11 is to approve the same person for part-time teacher's assistant, but at a different step. Number 12 is to approve a part-time teacher assistant. Number 13 is to rescind a full-time out-of-district teacher assistant. And number 14 is to approve a part-time teacher assistant for the same person there. 15 is to rescind a part-time teacher assistant, and 16 is to approve a full-time teacher assistant. Number 17 is to approve an extension of disability leave. 18 is salary level changes as listed. 19 is to approve the lead counselor for Bulldog Care as listed. 20 is to approve Bulldog Care program counselors as listed. Number 21 is a substitute teacher. Number 22 is a substitute teacher assistant. 23 is travel reimbursements as listed. And then number 24 is the handout that came from Mr. Kelly today, is to approve tutoring for a student.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hurley, make your comments.
Yes, I want to note the retirement of Mrs. Fargo at the end of this year. Mrs. Fargo, as many of you know, well, she has a very long time as research, testing, planning, evaluation. But she is, her function serves in many ways the role of an assistant superintendent in other districts. And she's housed up here. She's had that position for probably, looking up at probably 15 more years. And prior to that, she was our director of gifted talent. So we certainly will miss her and wish her well if she retires in this calendar year. And Dr. Hopkins, who is the director of guidance, has been in the district for, again, probably 12 to 15 years. I was the principal of high school when she came on board, retired at the end of this academic year. And as you know, director of guidance is a very critical position in so many different ways. So, both to be around for a while, this is for us to say our goodbyes and wish them well, but I want to acknowledge their contribution and wish them well in their future plans. And one other comment, if you go to number 17, I'm sorry, got the last one. Yes, number 17. That should be 30 days, not 20. Mr. Kelly, can you note that, please?
Sorry, say that again?
30 days, number 17, not 20.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Hurley, I was going to echo what you were saying about Ms. Fargo and Dr. Hopkins, but you summed it up well. Comments or questions from board members? All right, Mr. Conti, you want to move this?
I'd like to move motions 1 through 24.
Okay, second, Mr. Healy. Any last comments or questions? This is kind of rough, going from left to right. Mr. Kelly, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian,
Yes.
Mrs. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzola,
Yes.
Dr. Rousseau,
Yes.
Mr. Sprague,
Yes.
Dr. Awadi,
Yes.
motion's carried. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on now to curriculum and instruction. Ms. Jones.
Yes, thank you. We did not have a CNI meeting, and tonight there are 6 motions that have been put forth upon the recommendation of the superintendent. Number 1, the board goal. Should I read it, you want, or not? Mr. Holly, do you want me to read them?
I think you could, go ahead.
No,
I think you could say as listed. I mean, everyone
Okay.
who's here has the
Okay.
board agenda.
There are 4 board goals that we have decided on, and we will be working on those this year. Resolution 2 is out-of-district placements, 3 field trips, 4 nursing services plan, 5 home instruction for 1 student, and 6 is the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Questions, comments, discussion from board members? All right, hearing none. Mr. Jones, you want to move those?
I move resolutions 1 through 6.
All right, we have a second. All right, Mr. Bogosian, any last questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Kelly, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian,
Yes.
Mrs. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzola,
Yes.
Dr. Racine,
Yes.
Mr. Sprague,
Yes.
Dr. Awadi,
Yes.
motion's carried. Thank you.
All right, we move on now to finance. Mr. Bogosian.
Tonight we have 5 motions, oh no wait, I'm sorry, 7 motions under finance. Number 1 is the routine approval of bills. Number 2 is the July treasurer's report. Number 3 are budget line item transfers. Number 4 is a lease purchase agreement for Chromebooks. Number 5 is to accept with gratitude a donation of 2 professional studio tripods with studio wheels to RHS from Mr. Perry Quaranta of PQ Productions. Number 6 is a truck purchase partially funded by a grant from the RAF. And number 7 is a service agreement with the Teachers College at Columbia University for professional development at Pierpont, Lincoln, Washington, and Kindergarten Center to be funded with ESSER funds.
All right, thank you. Any comments on that?
I meant to mention about the Teachers College when I talked about the reading program, and by the applause that we heard from the other rooms, we mentioned that I guess the students there were happy about that. The reading program that we are initiating grades K to 5 is affiliated with Columbia University's Teachers College, and they do provide training, not only in the program, but in the teaching of reading. And they come on site 3 or 4 times a year and work with our teachers in small groups. And they also do some coaching and go into the classrooms, and they watch lessons and offer guidance and support. So using the ESSER money, which is intended for accelerated learning and to address learning, it's also a way to do this without putting that cost into the budget. So that's, we partnered with them before with the writers workshop, with similar training, and it was very, very successful.
All right, questions or comments from board members? All right, hearing none. Mr. Bogosian, you want to move this?
I'd like to move motions 1 through 7 under finance.
Do you have a second? Mr. Sprayberry, any last questions or comments? Seeing none, Mr. Kelly, please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian,
Yes.
Mrs. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzola,
Yes on 1 through 6, abstain on 7.
thank you, Dr. Racine,
Yes.
Mr. Sprague,
Yes.
Dr. Awadi,
Yes.
Motion's carried, thank you.
All right, we're going to move on now to policy. Mr. Healy, anything to report?
No, we did not have a committee meeting since the last board meeting. There are no resolutions for this evening.
All right, thank you. Then we'll move on to buildings and grounds. Mr. Sprayberry.
I'm grudging politeness.
All right. No, nothing to report. Okay. Thank you. Then we'll move on to old business. Is there any old business? Probably not yet, because we just started the school year. All right, then legislative update. Ms. Jones?
I lost my electricity, so I did not print out my report, so no report tonight.
Okay. No problem. We look forward to a double report.
And I don't know about that. They haven't put forth any much lately.
All right, then at 7:56 p.m., we'll open up the meeting to the public for questions or comments related to or not related to the agenda this evening. Comments? Seeing none, we will close the meeting at 7:56 p.m. We do have a need to go into executive session for
10 minutes.
for 3 legal matters. It'll be about 10 to 15 minutes, no action to be taken. A motion to go into executive session. All right, got Mr. Sprayberry, seconded by Mr. Bogosian. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're in executive session. Thank you.